before I do start this video, I do want to speak about two different things because I don't want to set the mood here and make it all very negative. We understand that Barcelona just lost to Sevilla 4-1, but that should not be the type of energy that we should transmit for today's video. Starting with point number one, Ansu Fati. Ansu Fati has been doing amazing for Monaco. If you want to talk about the future of FC Barcelona, the future is here. Ansu Fati has returned. He may not be the same player that we saw when he first came in at the age of 16, 17, 18 years old, but he has recreated his own game. And now we sit here today saying that Ansu Fati is a big deal for Monaco and it's a big deal for FC Barcelona. Ansu Fati had a strong performance against Manchester City last week. It was amazing, right? I think it was like an average of 7 to an 8 out of 10 performance. Then he was later given the MVP award for the month of September. Why? That is because he scored a lot of goals in the month of September. And now, at the time that I'm recording this video, Monaco is playing and he has so far scored 2 goals against Nice, and 2 of them were penalties. Now he has officially scored 6 goals in the past 5 matches across all competitions for Monaco. And this is with Monaco being 2-0 down against Nice. Ansu Fati has been able to take Monaco and bring them leveled to a scoreline of 2-2. Now, I don't know how this game is going to end. Like I've said, Monaco is still playing while I am recording this video. So we'll see. Maybe Ansu Fati goes for the 3rd goal and he gets the hat-trick. But all in all, if it ends like this, it is yet again another standout performance for Ansu Fati. It does seem like this loan season is going to be a success, very similar to what happened with Eric Garcia when we loaned out to Eric Garcia to Girona and he came back much stronger. And then point number 2, now we're going to talk about FC Barcelona. If you guys are thinking that it's over, that with Barcelona losing to Sevilla 4-1, that it is just the end of the season and that Barcelona are going to be very weak this season and we're not going to win anything, I would have a little pushback to that because Barcelona also had a very poor start to this season last season, which was the first season under Hansi Flick. Yes, it's true that Barcelona have suffered 2 consecutive defeats for the 2nd time under Hansi Flick in all competitions and the first since December 2024. The last time we saw Barcelona go through this type of setback was, like I've said, in the beginning of last season where Barcelona did lose to Leganés 1-0 and then lost to Atletico Madrid 2-1. But all in all, those first 3 to 4 months of Hansi Flick, it was not the best. Like we saw Barcelona lose to the Real Sociedad 1-0 in the month of November. Then they lost to Las Palmas 2-1. Then they tied against Real Betis 2-2. And then, like I said, in the same month of December, we lost to Leganés 1-0, lost to Atletico Madrid 2-1. And the reason why I do want to bring this up is because it's not all going to be perfect. Every team that does amazing in the end, they always have a rough start. It's always going to be like this. Just because we have lost points in the beginning of the season, whether it's in the Champions League or in La Liga, does not mean that Barcelona are going to be bad for the next 8 to 10 months. I believe that these losses are very much necessary. And thank God that we're being exploited in this way to showcase that our high defensive line is one of our weaknesses, because now we can fix this. Now we can come out with these problems that have been given and come out with answers, with solutions before the end of the year. So now let's talk about the game, right? Because I want us to understand why Barcelona lost and how we could fix this. First of all, the first 45 minutes against Sevilla, it was the worst 45 minutes that we have seen under Flick. I feel like we're saying that almost every other game, but this was literally like the worst first 45 minutes we have played under Hansi Flick. And Sevilla came in with a very specific game plan, very similar to the one of PSG. You can tell that Sevilla did study that match between Barcelona and PSG to really understand how they can get the best from this game. And Sevilla came in with a man-marking type of solution for them. And they were man-marking our midfielders with strong and tall players. And this forced our defenders to launch the ball into the final third, meaning when we saw Sevilla and their midfielders try to press either Frenkie de Jong or Pedri, maybe even Araujo or Cubarsí, they were forced, right? Araujo and Cubarsí or Gerard Martin and Koundé, they were forced to make those long balls to either Marcus Rashford or Lewandowski. And it did not end up working out well for them. And that is why we couldn't create any real connections between the defense, the midfield, and the attack. It's a very identical match to what happened between PSG and FC Barcelona earlier in the season. There was also a massive lack of intensity across the pitch. I feel like these players in some way looked very fatigued, but I would have some pushback on that because I don't think that this is like a strength conditioning type of issue where they're fatigued, they're tired, that they can't give no more. I understand that we had like a huge game against PSG 3 to 4 days ago, but still, I don't think this is a conditioning issue. issue. I just believe that Sevilla wanted it more and they studied us much better. Our offside trap as well is being used against us very well because we can't sustain the pressure long enough. And every team are basically approaching us with the exact same method. They try to find a player out wide, send either a central midfielder or a striker to run through the middle, and the whole high line is exposed. And very easy. It's very easy to score against us. Now, the worrying thing about this is that last season, our answer was, okay, they're going to score against us very easy, but we can score like 4 goals back. Now, we don't even have that. I do think that another factor that is playing into this on why we can't really respond and score 2 goals within a span of like 5 or 8 minutes is because we don't have Rafinha, we don't have Yamal, we don't have Firmino, we don't have Gavi. 4 players who are very important to the system of Hansi Flick. Pedri even stated after the match, and I quote, "Many things went wrong today. With the ball, we didn't know how to break their man-to-man pressure. We lacked intensity in defense. We need to review the things we did wrong. And it's clear that the coach and we will work on improving them after the break." And so you're like, yeah, thank God that we have the international break now because it just seems like Barcelona were not gaining any sort of momentum. Maybe Barcelona's confidence did lower ever since they lost against PSG at their home. And so to see this international break coming through, maybe it could be a blessing in disguise. I also want to get into the individual performances. Marcus Rashford was the only attacker to make things happen in the final third in terms of goals, crosses, winning corners, taking on defenders. He was doing everything. I did see him miss one big chance. However, right after that one big chance, he scored the goal and it was amazing with a really good, powerful shot. But he was the only player with real capacity to hurt Sevilla. But with that goal, he has been involved in 7 goals in the past 10 matches for FC Barcelona across all competitions. That is 3 goals and 4 assists for him, more than any other player for the club this season. So he has been very productive, very much has earned the respect of Flick and has earned the right to start in every game as of now. I would also like to say that because Marcus Rashford was the only attacker to like really make things happen, you can just tell that without Lamine Yamal, Barcelona do lose its meaning in the attack. And that is something that I did not say about a week and a half ago, even before the match against PSG. We did state that when Barcelona were going through this spell without Yamal in his first phase of being absent, Barcelona did well, right? We saw Rafinha score, we saw Rafinha make some goals, we saw Marcus Rashford also make some goals, Lewandowski, Ferran Torres, they all did their part, but it's slowly starting to crumble. With Yamal's second spell of being injured, Barcelona do not look the same. I also expected for Daniel Olmo to maybe have some contribution in the attack without Lamine Yamal because Daniel Olmo is a chance creator, but he's still not contributing. And when teams like Sevilla like to match us in midfield, like that man-to-man press, Daniel Olmo is nothing. Like he's physically very stiff, disconnected, very low energy, provides very little, and it leaves Barcelona with just 2 midfielders, which is Frankie and Pedri, having to do all the work, and he has 0 control. And I think that with Sevilla doing that man-to-man thing and that strategy, they know that they can get away with it because they know that we don't have our best quality football type of players. Meaning when they go on 1v1s against Araujo, they usually win. On 1v1s versus Martin, they usually win. Against Koundé, they usually win. Ferran Torres, Lewandowski. These are all players that when it comes to 1v1 duels, whether it's offensively or defensively, they're not the best. And especially when you compare it to the other players that Barcelona do have. Because Rafinha, Yamal, Gavi, and also Fermin Lopez, they are the best when it comes to those 1v1 defensive or offensive duels. Like I said, Olmo could have been that guy. He could have been that guy to say, okay, man-to-man press, they're pressing me, they're going to be on me like 24/7, but I can get away from that because Daniel Olmo is a player who has football. He has the technicality, but he does not show that, which is embarrassing. So there's so many tactical issues in Barcelona's game right now. Barcelona with the ball, extremely poor, and just like Pedri stated, there has been many teams that have figured out Flick's offside trap, and he's not readjusting. He's not bringing in or offering a plan B. So Flick's plan A is running out of ideas and is too reliant on individual brilliance, I would say. That is why when we don't have Rafinha or Yamal, Barcelona do struggle. So now with Hansi Flick, I do ask him one question. Do you have a plan B? Do you have a second plan? Can you readjust when Barcelona are failing with your plan A? And I want to see that after we come back from the international break, because let me tell you guys, as much as you guys hate when I talk about Xavi Hernandez and how I like always say good things about him, Xavi Hernandez was a coach that always brought a plan A or plan B. Whether we liked it or not, it still worked in the end. Like at that match against PSG when Xavi was in charge, and it was during the 2023-2024 season, Barcelona played very conservative, and that had to be the game plan that we needed to do against PSG, and it led towards Barcelona winning against PSG at their home 3-2. Once again, conservative game, a game where we even saw Christensen score because none of our other players in the attack could score, but we still came out with a win. Xavi Hernandez readjusted. But with Flick, it's different. There's only one way, and that one way is really good, but sometimes it does fail you. I would also even like to point out that Guardiola is also really good at readjusting and adapting to new problems. But with Flick, we do need something different. Or at the very least, when we don't have the players players that we need, like Yamal, Rafinha, Firmino, Gavi, etc., or maybe even Joan Garcia, try to find that new plan B. You can stick with your plan A when we have all of our players, but readjust, right? That is the main theme of today's video. But this is going to be the answer for now. Hansi Flick really does rely on players who have more football and more ability to retain the ball under pressure. It's the reason why Alejandro Balde and Eric Garcia came in the second half, and they helped massively. Balde was the one that can break the press with his runs, bringing more possibilities for FC Barcelona. Eric Garcia also came in to carry the ball forward into open space, and especially through the midfield. It's why you saw Eric Garcia with the ball many times making those forward runs, is because Eric Garcia can do that, and that was one of the ways that Barcelona could exploit Sevilla. We could not do that when we had Araujo and Kubarsi as a pair at the back, but with Eric Garcia, you can, and it helped Barcelona, as you can see. And that is why we saw many chances with Rooney Bardi finding those chances, but unfortunately, he missed a very big sitter. Lewandowski also missed a penalty, but Barcelona were getting close. That was the answer from the very beginning. But that is it, right? I'm going to be talking about Ansu Fati in a later video. I do want to continue to talk about him and his evolution, on how he's changing his game. I'm also going to be talking about Barcelona again in regards to what needs to change in order for them to really be successful after the international break. I'm going to be leaving it here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.